I don't really talk about this too much. And that's on me. I probably should. But just as important as it is to not ignore your feelings, to listen to your feelings, listen to your body, it's also important to be strong. Not all the time, right? Because there's this idea that if you're not strong all the time, you're just weak. And that's not true. There's a time and place for each emotion, you know? There's a time and place for each level of grief. And you have to be intuitive enough and introspective enough to know what situation facilitates which emotion. Right? There's going to be times where you're going to cry. There's going to be times where you're going to be sad. But there are also times where you need to be strong. Not for anybody else, for yourself. There's times where you have to be cognitive enough to have perseverance. You can't fall apart all of the time. And you can't be, weak all of the time. You have to try. Or should I say, rather than you have to try, let me rephrase that. You should try to tell yourself that you should try. Not for society, not for anybody else, for you. Because you live in your body. Nobody else is ever going to care about you more than yourself. And I'm not saying that it's going to be easy. It really is not. But as a dialysis patient, you're going to go through a lot. You're going to go through a lot of surgeries. You're going to go through a lot of procedures. You're going to go through a lot of infections, illnesses, things like that. These are things that are going to happen to you. Dialysis is not easy. It's not a cakewalk. And anybody that tells you that they've had an easy go of being a dialysis patient is probably not being too truthful, right? There's a level of bravery that you have to be a dialysis patient, to, withstand the surgeries, to, go to take the medication that may not necessarily make you feel all that great, to go to the dialysis treatments that may not necessarily make you feel all that great. I have scars all over my body from catheter removals to, graft implantations to kidney biopsies, things being shoved in my nose to stop my nose from bleeding, tubes being put down my throat. And all of this stuff can be overwhelming and it can be scary. And the pain is very real. And the recovery time is long. And it's not fun. And in those moments is when you need to maintain a level of strength for yourself. Like I was, concerned about the kidney biopsy. And it was one of the worst pains I'd ever experienced. But I needed to do it because I needed to know. I needed to know what was going on with my kidneys. I needed to know where my kidney function was at. So that was the only way they could have done it. So I had to do it. When they were checking me out for the graft in my arm, I was concerned about that, and just the pain and the swelling and waiting to recover. And it's just, in order for me to do dialysis the way I wanted to do it, this is what I needed. Was there concern? Was there fear? Absolutely. But I still did it because that's what I needed to do in order to get these other things done. Now, I'm not saying that you should push yourself into doing things that you don't want to do, or push yourself into doing things that are challenging. Rather, do the things because you understand why you need to do them. You're not doing it for this person or that person. I understand that if I want to live this is what is required of me. So this is what I'm choosing to do. I've been using the word have to a lot. Really, you don't have to do anything. Rather, I'm choosing to do these things because this is what is required. And it's not an easy decision, right? You're going to get folks out here, they're going to make it seem like, oh, well, yeah, it was just easy. It was easy as pie, you know? This is what I got to do for this reason or that reason, my kids, my wife, blah, 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 blah. It's not an easy decision to make, right? Like, it's not. It's not easy regardless of whatever's going on in your life and whatever it is that you have. You know, these decisions aren't easy to make. And again, I've said this before, you know, you can make a hard decision that's going to result in like pain and suffering for you, but you don't have to be happy about it. Sometimes you have to look at a situation and you got to tell yourself, okay, I need to be strong here. Because if I'm not strong here, everything's gonna get worse. And I don't want it to get worse. There were times where I've been admitted to the hospital so many times during this, I can't even count anymore. But there were times where I was admitted to the hospital, partial paralysis. I couldn't even walk. I can barely move my legs. But I had to tell myself, I need to get up out this bed, or at least I need to sit on the edge. I need to kick my feet. I need to work these muscles, because if I don't, it's going to make it worse. And then I'm going to be wheelchair bound, and then I'm not going to be able to do anything. There were times where blood vessels have broken in my eye and I've gone completely blind. And I had to be brave and tell myself, if I don't let this eye doctor shoot me in the eye with a needle to put this medicine in, I am not going to see. I'm not going to be able to see, to drive, and to have a good quality of life. So in moments like that, I had to be brave. I had to tell myself, okay, this is what is required of me to have a good quality of life. So this is what I need to do. Was it painful getting a needle in the eye? Yes. Regardless of the size of the needle, getting a needle in the eye is always painful. Right? But the pain that I'm experiencing now will pale in comparison to how bad it could get if I don't get this taken care of. There's this idea of, oh, well, you're going to die anyway, so just do whatever. Okay? So a part of me understands that, but at the same time, that like, it could always get worse. Especially if you go from having like moderate health to having poor health. Like, I'm a type 2 diabetic. I know people who have had diabetes. And I've known people who have had diabetes that had that same philosophy. Oh, well, you're just going to die anyway, so might as well just do whatever. But you know what? I would much rather make the sacrifice so that way I would have 2 legs instead of 1. Or none. So in closing, if a situation arises, ask yourself, do I need to be strong here?